Comenzamos el bloque informativo en Extra News.
This capital belongs to all Americans, and starting now, we're taking it back. And that's the angle. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth was given the tall order of handling this, and he's here with me exclusively. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us tonight. So the president called this a public safety emergency, and you said we're going to start seeing the National Guard this week. Mm-hmm. Tell us more.
This week and in coming weeks, and we're going to work right alongside our law enforcement partners as force multipliers. This is what the American people voted for, Laura. This is what the common sense, clarity, strength. I hadn't heard that story from President Trump before, the story he told about his father, that he told him, hey, son, if you look at the front door of a restaurant and it's dirty, then I bet the kitchen, you can count on the fact that the kitchen is too. And I sat there thinking that's exactly right. If our capital city is a mess, if we can't control our capital city, then what does the rest of the country look like? And what signals does the rest of the country take from that? So just like we did in Los Angeles, alongside our federal law, we took a lot of criticism for 4,000 troops, 700 Marines. You know what we didn't get? There was no summer of love in 2020. In 2025, there was a summer of law enforcement. And we quelled the protests of the attacks on ICE officers. We're going to help get D.C. under control by working with local officials who have been federalized, with federal officials who are coming in. The D.C. Guard's proud to be a part of it. Other states will contribute this week going into the weeks to come. Whatever's needed, the DOD will provide to make sure this is a safe city for those who live here, for those that work here, and the Americans who want to come visit here and love our capital city.
The question of martial law keeps getting raised by the left, that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, they want to impose martial law as authoritarians would. Mm-hmm. To that you say?
To that I say, look at Los Angeles. They said the exact same thing. Oh, look, 4,000 troops, California National Guard. Oh, look, the Marines. You can't put in the Marines. What? They were the troops available to ensure that we de-escalated the situation and didn't allow other lawbreakers to say, look, it's wide open. We can do whatever we want in these sanctuary cities. I was told, oh, you're going to lock up political opponents. You're going to go after Democrats, yada, yada. It's the same stuff every time, mischaracterizing our intentions. The intentions of this president is to establish law and order using legal and lawful and constitutional means, which he completely has. And you know what? You know why they don't like him? He's got the guts to do it. He's got the guts to say, I'm going to federalize the police that don't work. I'm going to bring in the National Guard. I'm going to bring in federal marshals. I'm going to bring in the park police.
How long will that be?
And we're going to control them. Who knows? How long? What is the?
Well, it costs money, right?
Sure, it does.
It costs money, and the question is, are you there for a year? Are you there for 6 months? And when the troops pull out, what happens?
I would call this conditions-based. I would say it's a situation where we're here to support law enforcement. And the more we can free them up to do their job, the more effective they can be, the more we can work. I mean, this isn't my realm, but the justice system to make sure people who are arrested are actually locked up. That's why the president's talking about cashless bail in sanctuary cities. If you're illegal here in D.C., that's going to be a problem. So all of these things that apply to law and order are front and center for us. And I don't know, weeks, months, what will it take? That's the president's call. But we're going to be there for him to execute as swiftly as possible.
Will the National Guard be detaining Americans on American soil?
Under Title 32, which is the authorization they'll be using, they have broad latitude, but they're not going to be involved in law enforcement functions. They will be standing right alongside our federal agents like they were in Los Angeles. They're going to be proactive. If you take an action or a shot at them, there will be a consequence. So,
if a crime is being committed, in other words, and a National Guardsman sees a crime being committed, then what?
They can come alongside and assist law enforcement.
What if law enforcement isn't on that corner?
I will have their back to ensure they can take the necessary action to protect citizens of D.C. and to protect themselves. So there's no rogue law enforcement going on from the National Guard, but there's also the application of common sense. We're not going to have National Guardsmen sitting there like this, seeing a crime committed and not do something about it. You can help somebody, interdict, temporarily detain like we did in Los Angeles, and hand over to law enforcement. Those are the types of things the National Guard can be trained to do.
Do you guys have buy-in from any local officials in D.C.? I'm not saying you need it, But you can see where it would be helpful. Faith-based leaders, community leaders. Bowser, I think, is trying to walk a line there. She's probably the best mayor D.C. has had, which people think, how are you saying that? Because she's actually better than, I think, most mayors for the last 25 years in D.C.
I think she's walking a line of, as we talked about a little bit before the show, she understands the obvious. She understands the citizens of D.C. are sick of this kind of environment. And I think they're waiting for, if given an opportunity to resist the thugs and the gangs and the criminals and the drug dealers, they want the alternative. So I think the vast majority of D.C. folks, they may not want to say it, especially if they're a left of center, but under their breath and quietly, they would welcome a peaceful city where their friends and families can come visit and be safe.
And the National Guard going to be picking up these tents. So the homeless tents are all over the city. They're on K Street Tunnel. There are some dotting along the area here. There were more before. Some of them have been cleared out. What about those?
We're working with the marshals and alongside them, alongside Park Police, alongside everybody else. Wherever they need the National Guard to assist, we're happy to be there.
Do you know where the homeless people are going to go?
That's not really my lane.
Yeah.
Our job is to stand alongside law enforcement. We'll do that.
Other really interesting news over the weekend was the news about the cartels in Mexico. The Sinaloa crime cartel and many others have wreaked havoc on the United States. You covered it when you were a host on Fox. You see it up close and personal now. Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, is saying this is not welcome in our country. You know, you kind of see what she has to do perhaps there as well. What is your target, and how deep into Mexico do you intend to go?
Well, we're not going to comment on any of the reporting from the New York Times. Sorry. I wish they had a little bit more commitment and patriotism to the country about what they report on a whole slew of levels.
Yeah, saying Trump secretly signed a directive to go into Mexico.
Also, that material like that, true or not, should never be released. Ultimately, the president ran on designating these organizations as foreign terrorist organizations. We spent 20 years battling foreign terrorists in other countries. Now we've got them in our own hemisphere, poisoning our people with drugs, with gangs, with violence, with human trafficking. President Trump has said enough is enough. We've sealed it at the border. I mean, the military's down at the border with CBP and ICE, sealing that. We have, and we've come alongside them. Now, where appropriate, when given the opportunity, when it makes sense, at the directive of the president, we will take action to defend the American people.
Does that mean that you foresee U.S. troops in Mexico in some way, shape, or form? Or are you thinking drone attacks, air attacks? What do you think?
I can't reveal anything, but I'm not tipping my hand that there will be U.S. troops in Mexico. That's not what I'm saying.
But are you worried that now the cartels are just moving everything around, that they know that there's a target on their back? They're just like hiding everything, however they do that?
We're watching. We know a little bit more than they think we might know about them. We've spent a lot of attention watching them. We're focused on this. It's a presidential priority. It's our priority. We're working with federal partners to identify that all across the Western Hemisphere. This is something we're not lying down anymore. If you're trafficking in drugs, you're trafficking in people, you're trafficking in violence that affect the American people, that's unacceptable, and the Defense Department's going to be a part of solving that.
China on its end, and then the U.S. government on the Mexico side. Friday. Big day in Alaska. President Trump meets with Vladimir Putin, but we understand that Volodymyr Zelensky will not be there. But the president said he would tell him how the meeting went. That's been criticized by those who kind of want to keep this war going indefinitely. But tell us what the posture is now. I know you don't want to get ahead of the president, but ultimately, what would look like something close to success here?
Well, nobody else could have created the conditions that lead to a meeting like this.
Hasn't been there since 2015, Putin in the United States.
Nope. And certainly under Joe Biden, the violence raged, the war raged, and Putin never took him serious enough to even consider a meeting. So already President Trump has changed the game. He's created the conditions for a possible negotiated settlement, which is his goal from the beginning, at a very complex battlefield. I don't think Vladimir Putin would be meeting unless he's felt that heat. And I think there's a chance. And the president's laid out the parameters, and so is Steve Witkoff and others who are in the. We're in the strength side of the peace through strength business, but on the negotiating side, there's going to be, could be land swaps. There's going to be concessions. No one's going to be happy, but if anybody can do it, it's going to be President Trump.
Are you going to be there?
I don't know. We'll see what my calendar looks like. Possibly.
Well, can you call us when you find out the information, please?
We'll know.
Is there a precedent that you all are worried about setting here with this idea of an American urged land swap, as the president described it? And everyone who knows the history of Ukraine and Russia, the eastern part of Ukraine is much more Russian ethnic. The western side has more of a Ukrainian history and so forth. But Vladimir Putin loves Kiev. That's the cradle of the Ukrainian, the Orthodox Church, the Russian Orthodox Church. So he loves Kiev. But are you worried about a precedent-setting moment here that would not be great for future conflicts?
No, because this is not a war of President Trump's making. He ran to say, I want to end this war. He didn't cause this. The weakness of previous administrations, Obama and Biden caused this. President Trump came in to say, I'm going to make peace. It makes nobody happy, but it ends a senseless war with thousands of people killed every week, and he wants to stop it.
Okay, I have a friend who just got through OCS as a Marine, went to a very great university, and so he told me all about basic training and how hard it was. But now I understand you're thinking about bringing back shark attacks to basic training. Mm-hmm. That's when drill sergeants get into the faces of recruits. We all saw that in the movies. I love those moments. But are you bringing that back?
Of course. Why did we ever get rid of it in the first place?
I don't know. It looks cool to me.
If you want a strong, tough military, why do you get softer at the beginning? The tactics drill sergeants used in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they forged generations of young Americans who went and fought wars courageously. Now we're handing out, in the past, we're handing out stress cards. Are you too stressed? Do you need some counseling for that?
Therapy animals?
No, we're going to flip your bunk, and we're going to shark attack, and we're going to forge a young man or a young woman into a brave American willing to fight on behalf of all of us. So we are making basic training great again by putting the power back in the hands of drill sergeants, just like staff sergeants, just like company commanders, just like battalion commanders. We're making it possible to actually command decisively in the military, which is how you close with and destroy your enemy. We lost track of the basics, Laura, and we're restoring the basics at the Defense Department, maybe soon to be the War Department, and we're going to get after it.
It used to be the War Department, the Department of War, but after World War II that changed. We're on defensive as Defense Department. We might get a change of name?
Well, that's up to the President of the United States, but stay tuned. We'll see.
I've always loved the War Department better than the Defense Department. Mr. Secretary, thank you for coming in. It's wonderful to see you.
Muy pronto, vuelve a escuchar las noticias más relevantes en este canal de noticias.